practice. Let's look right here.
Morning.
Morning.
How we doing?
Good. So it sounds like you got the fake fan noise ready for practice. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we normally do when we play away games.
I didn't remember that during the Colorado game, but
It's okay. We do it every away game. So.
all right. You've been back to Oregon a couple times now. Has it kind of been there, done that, or is it always going to be special going back there for you?
It's always special going back there. It's a special place in my life. And there's a lot of great people there that had a profound impact on my life. But I'm not playing the game, so we're totally focused. We're getting Friday around 6, and we play at noon the next day or 12:30 the next day. So we all know what this entails. It's a business trip, just like any other away game in this league. So.
Has Oregon changed? I mean, everybody saw that first game against Georgia where it's like, wow. But then ever since they've been just rolling off wins. Have they changed, or was Georgia just that good?
I don't look at it that way. We just look at scheme and schematics and those things. So, we don't try to analyze what happened or what didn't happen. It's just how do they handle? How does the 3 technique play against the down block? What type of twist game do they have? Things like that. That's kind of what we do. We try to take the emotion out of our game plan breakdown.
So what do you see when you look at Oregon on film?
I see 4-2-5 defense. Play a lot of nickel. Played a little bit more 3-3 stack in the Arizona game. Trying to get 3 linebackers on the field and get some speed on the field. Really good defensive end in Brandon Dorless. DJ's really good at the other side. The linebackers are outstanding. Sewell's been a really good player in this league for a long time. Justin Flo seems like he's getting back into the flow of things. So, on offense, it revolves around the quarterback. I think he's really athletic and can run. He's the guy you got to stop, with his feet and his arm. So that's what we see when we watch tape.
And then Autzen as well as anybody. How would you describe that environment and how hard it is to play there as a road team?
Yeah, it's a difficult place to play. Just like anything in this league, you go to Washington, it's hard. You go to Oregon, it's hard. I think that's part of it when you're playing meaningful games in October is you got to be prepared for crowd noise. So we'll be prepared for it.
Are you guys ready for meaningful games in October?
Yeah, we've already played one, and we got another one coming up. So,
where has your team made the biggest strides this season?
I think we're just right on track where we thought we were going to be. Our guys are. Really do every day very well. They understand there's a consistency to the process. They've been really good every Monday. They've been really good every Tuesday, every Wednesday. And that's not easy. That's easier said than done. But I think there's a consistency to their preparation, and that consistency pays off on Saturdays.
Have you seen confidence growing?
Yeah, but I saw confidence last year on our team, so it's not like this is new to us. I thought we had a really good football team last year. Lost 2 games on the last drive of the game, and finished 8-4, and I think we've got a veteran group of guys. Our leaders have been around here for a long time, and they do a really good job of setting the tone every day in terms of what it's supposed to look like when we get out here on the practice field.
You and DTR have kind of been joined at the hip for 5 years. How has he grown in that time?
I just think the one thing I love about him is he's a lifelong learner. He gets better every single day. He's always trying to get better. He has that mentality. I don't think he ever thinks he's arrived. He's always trying to, can I get better at this? Can I work at this? And it's neat to see his growth over that time. But he's got a world of talent, but he's got a work ethic to go with it.
How happy are you that he's still here? Because he could have gone.
Yeah. I mean, we said that before. Both him, Zach, all those other guys that made the decision to come back, we were excited about it and the opportunity to play one more season with him and help him grow and help him attain the goals that he's got set out for himself.
What do they do really well that you feel you got to prepare for? What you guys are looking out for?
Well, everything. I mean, they've got a really good run game with their quarterback, but he's also has the ability to beat you with his arm. They do a nice job on both sides of the ball schematically. So it's. I mean, they're one loss team for a reason. They're a really good football team. So we're excited about playing.
What do you look for as far as academics in a recruit and maybe like a transfer who might want to come in?
Well, we have a standard that the admissions office has here, so all we do with any young man that comes here is we submit the transcript to the admissions office, and they either give up a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whether he's an admittable student athlete or not. So that decision's not on our, and nor should it be. So the way it works here, it's very kind of cut and dry. Is the admissions office will tell us if we can take a kid or not take a kid.
When it comes to offensive line, pretty experienced offensive line, guys who have been in the system for a while. John Gaines, Sam Marazzo. Bringing that experience, how does that impact the overall effect of the offensive line? Plus having a coach who was with your staff last year. That kind of transition, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we were fortunate enough to have Trev on staff, when Justin left for Ohio State. So there's some continuity from that standpoint, not having to learn a new system, being ingrained in what we do here. And he's added some of his wrinkles that I think Trev has brought to it. So he's done a really nice job. But to have the veteran players, Sam's been around for a long time, Neil's been around for a long time, Duke has been around for a long time, John Gaines has been around for a long time, Garrett's in year 2. Raekwon had over 30 starts in the Big Ten, so we do have experience there, and experience is a great teacher. So those guys can go back to situations that they've been in before. When a situation goes up and goes, "Oh, we've been in this before. Here's the adjustment that we have to make." And there's no substitute for experience, and I think those guys have done a really good job as a group, kind of molding together.
Talk about the books and ball culture with this team and the number of guys in grad school. How have they kind of has there been examples of things they've taught you or kind of, helped you learn anything because with these guys being so smart?
Yeah, Pythagorean's theorem. We discuss that a lot in some of our meetings, and it's interesting to watch some of those guys get on a board and go over through some of those things. So, the one thing you learn from this group is there's a maturity to them. When they're approached every day, you're not a kid that graduates undergrad, like a Shea Pitts who graduated here in 3 years, already got a master's degree and is working on a second master's. If you're not disciplined, if you're not mature, if you don't have your priorities in line, and I think that's what filters down to the younger guys in our program is that, there's a certain amount of discipline that it takes to be a really good student here, and it's the same discipline that can be applied to being a really good football player here. So it's the maturity that those guys bring every day, and the example that they set every day. That's why they do every day really well, because there's a consistency to their performance, because there's a consistency to their mindset and a consistency to their approach.
You talked to Jacob about Socrates yet? He had a good conversation.
I have not. I did talk to. Jake's like off the charts. When I met him, the first time I talked to him, he was an applied mathematics major at Harvard. And his mom said she was a little disappointed. She wanted him to be in engineering. And he said applied mathematics is the new engineering. And he lost me after that. So he may be president of the United States someday. So I'll make sure we're always on Jacob's good side.
Or Chase Griffin?
Chase could be there. We got a couple guys that could run for office right now and would garner a lot of votes, deservingly so.
Ali Kaho, is there a chance that he could return this season?
There is, but I don't have I'm not the doctor, so when they get him cleared to play, he's up moving around and running around. We'll see what happens then.
How's coaching a more mature, older team different than the younger team?
I think you don't have to worry about things that I think maybe if you have a younger, immature team that you do worry about. I'm not worried about are these guys on schedule, are these guys on time, where are they? You don't have to quote unquote babysit them. I think sometimes that you have to do with some younger kids, just because they don't know. And I think the one thing is our older players do a great job of mentoring our younger players about being where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. So the little things, we don't neglect them. I think our older players make sure that our players truly understand the little things, because how you do the small things is how you do all things. So to get those guys to understand that there's got to be a consistency in your behavior, and a consistency is a mindset for you to have. I think that's filtered down throughout everybody in the program.
A little quicker growth curve then, if you've got leadership like that?
It is. I mean, anytime you have a player-led team and not a coach-fed team, that's really what we all strive for. But you got to have players that can lead, and that's what we're really fortunate to have, is that our older group of guys are outstanding in that aspect. So.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.